So this is part 3 of chapter 3, Stress and Health Psychology. And so now we're going to pick up where we left off and start talking more about health psychology as well as stress management, how to be able to deal with our stress. When we're talking about health psychology, what we're looking at is not just biological, but we look at biological, how it interconnects with psychological as well as our social. Studying how biological and psychological and social factors, how it interacts with one's health as well as our fitness. So health psychologists, they'll help individuals in terms of preparing for surgery. They'll do a lot of psychoeducation in terms of how to deal and work with our stress. If you smoke, if you drink too much, or if you're like me, unfortunately, I hate exercise. I do. But they may help you in terms of how to improve your ability to exercise. People that are dealing with chronic illness, health psychologist works with them, as well as trying to change our unhealthy type of behaviors through more positive forms of intervention. So when we're talking about coping and stress, coping's that attempt to be able to manage stress in some effective type of way. It's not only one single act, but it's going to be a process that would allow us to be able to deal with the various type of stresses that we might experience. So there's an emotion-focused form of coping, and those are those emotional or cognitive strategies that can help us, to manage a stressful situation. So one example might be, think about it this way. Suppose you refused a highly desirable job. You might reappraise the situation and decide that that job wasn't the right match for you, or that you weren't really qualified or ready for it. And then when you're faced with unavoidable stress, people commonly going to start using what we call defense mechanisms. That's being, they'll unconsciously start to distort reality to kind of help protect their egos as well as to avoid anxiety. Now, that comes from, what do you think, which theory? That would be psychoanalytic psychodynamic theories, just to give Freud. So just to give you that little reminder. Now, so as you can see, basically though, emotion-focused coping might help to reduce or postpone our stress as well as be able to help us make it through the night sometimes. And many times though, it is necessary and more effective to be able to use problem solving for coping, which might help us to deal directly with the stressor to help to decrease or eliminate it altogether. Once again, I have another fun slide I want you to pause and read and just think about, okay? Now, we kind of discussed a little bit about emotion focused as well as problem focused types of coping. These are some examples of how stress producing situations might occur for you. And pretty much what I want you to just look at and see, take a time and go through each of them. Would you be able to use emotion focus for that scenario, problem focus, or both? See what it would be and just jot that down for yourself, okay? And then once you do that, think about those coping mechanisms for yourself. Can you say whether or not you're emotion focused or being problem focused? Or do you utilize both? Many times not, you might find each situation determines a different scenario for yourself. But see how you would handle it. Don't forget to pause. Now, you've gone through looking at emotion focus as well as problem solving uh, type of coping. Now, let's look at 8 additional ways that you might be able to help cope with stress. The thing is, the person's ability to cope depends on the stressor itself, how complex it is, the level of intensity, as well as how long it's lasted, as well as on the type of coping strategy that you might use. It's going to also depend on what type of resources you would have. So these 8 resources is going to be geared toward healthy living as well as stress management toward your health as well as exercise. It involves positive beliefs such as your social skills and social support, being able to be in control, having material sources as well as sense of humor and relaxation. So now, with exercise, that's one. Of course, exercise and being able to keep fit, it's going to help work down the level of anxiety, depression, as well as tension that comes along with stress. It helps you to relax your muscles. It helps improve cardiovascular. It also helps improve your flexibility, strength, and guess what? Stamina. So when we talk about positive beliefs, the more positive you're feeling, the harder those stresses get to permeate, so to speak. If you think about it, when you think positive, how do you feel? You feel pretty good. So when we have negativity or irrational thoughts and thinking going on, we start to feel low energy, feel down and out. So being able to possess positive beliefs and incorporating them in our lives actually can help us to beat any type of adversity that comes along and no stresses that can be tagged with it. As I mentioned before, social skills is an important factor, okay? How we interact. Believe it or not, even those who feel that they are loners, from time to time can use the assistance of others, okay? The more we practice our social skills, the more we interact, the less stress we actually feel and have. It helps us to gain what we call social support, okay? And that's being able to have the support of others. So the two of those can work actually hand in hand. Now, when I mention control, you're in charge of your life. You're in charge of your destiny, okay? That's what control is all about. Being the master of your own destiny. It's an extremely important type of resource because it will help you to feel that you can succeed through any type of coping mechanism that you put into place. Okay, when you have individuals that have an internal locus of control, pretty much they are in charge of their own destinies, and therefore they might adopt those more positive type of coping strategies. So those who got external type of locus of control tends to allow the world to dictate their actions, which is not what you want. Okay? Maternal resources. Money increases the number of different options that you might have. That including if you want to work out at a gym or if you want to go to therapy, we need money to do that, right? So that's one type of material form of resource. But excuse me, not only money will help, but other type of material type of resources can be of assistance. You can have less stress even when you don't have money. Just have to be ingenious on how to do it. And we are innovative thinkers who know how to problem solve. So I'll leave it at that. Sense of humor. Research actually has demonstrated that humor is one of the best ways to reduce stress. How can you stay upset when you laugh, when you find a joke, and when you can laugh at yourself? The more you can laugh at yourself, the less you can feel sorry for yourself. Think about it. Finally, relaxation. There are several different forms of relaxation that you can utilize. Biofeedback is one way that we help individuals who might have chronic illnesses. We have what they call progressive muscle relaxation. And with progressive muscle relaxation, pretty much what we do, we have you work from your head down to your toes. You'll tense up, tense your neck, for example. I don't know if you noticed that, but I'm tensing my neck. Count to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and let it go. And when you tense that up, you'll find that you feel like this ease come about. And what we do is we have the person tense every part of their body, from their head down to their toes. And at the end of this, that level of stress will go away with the tension that you've released. And it do work. Try it. You're going to like it. All right. So that ends chapter 3. Okay. Now it's time for you to begin preparing for your exam. You will be getting a practice exam prior to your first exam. The practice exam is actually going to serve as your review. That along with your last 3 assignments. Okay? All the stuff that you've done has been leading up to working toward being able to take and pass this exam. And just to give you heads up, it is a 100 question exam. Okay? I will be posting the practice test first and then follow up with the exact day and time. And understand, you can go to the syllabus. I don't have the syllabus open in front of me, but the syllabus will let you know when you will be taking the exam. With that in mind, understand that I open the exam at midnight the day of the exam, and I close it at 11:59 that day. So you'll have that total period of 24 hours to be able to sit and take the exam. You will get 3 hours from the start of the exam to the finish. Please make sure that you do this exam in one sitting, not stop and try to come back. Because if you stop, leave the test and come back, they won't let you come back. Another thing I wanted to point out, when you're taking the exam, make sure that you are sure of your responses before hitting the next button, because you will not be able to return to the previous question. Okay? I'll repeat this again, I'm quite sure, at the time when you take the exam. So, I do hope that you have a great week. Hope that you had a good break, and that you are ready and willing to knock out that exam. And then we will get started with chapter 4.